Hello, world, and welcome to Choices, Books, and Gifts, where you always have choices. Have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Michelle Lawton. Good afternoon, Michelle. How are you today?
Hi, thank you, Jay. It's great to be here. I'm very well.
Great. Well, we're glad you're here. So, as I normally do, I'm going to read to you guys a little bit about Michelle so you know what her background is and what she's actually doing. So, Michelle Lawton is a food lover whom, for the past 25 years, has dedicated her life to a healthy food and beverage lifestyle through her platform, Joyful Plate. Michelle is passionate about community volunteering in New York City for the past 15 years and supports aspiring professional women in the food and hospitality industry. Michelle began teaching as an adjunct professor of design at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, fall 2023.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you.
And I think we got through the pleasantries and all that. So what I'm going to say is first is Michelle wrote this wonderful book. It's called Moderating a Love Affair with Food. Michelle, can you show us the book and also tell us where to get it?
Sure. You can get this book online on Amazon, or you can go to my website, moderatingaloveaffairwithfood.com, and it's available both ebook and, the physical book.
And you can also get it at our bookstore, Choices, Books and Gifts on East 78th Street.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Very good. So part of you showing the book is my first question. So what inspired you to write Moderating a Love Affair with Food?
I have been in the biz for almost 30 years now, and it's always been on the branding and marketing side. I have a consultancy, Joyful Plate, package design, and I live for food. I'm one of these people who just live. I wake up. Yeah, we're a perfect match.
I'm a
I
foodie.
can't. Oh, great. I've met my guy then. I wake up just so excited to smell the aromas of the coffee and, look forward to eating all day long. So I always imagined expressing in a book, but I thought I would write a book about how to make a perfect omelet or how to make risotto. I have a background working with Italian companies many years ago. But the truth of the matter is, Jay, post-pandemic, I had my annual. And my doctor said, blood pressure is a little high, weight's a little high. And I walked out of the doctor's office saying, who, me, Joyful Plate? I used to be a gymnast and I bike around Central Park for 20 years and I play tennis. I'm pretty active and I've always been pretty healthy. But, the numbers don't lie, unfortunately. And I walked out of the doctor's office. My mom's an RN, and I called her and I said, well, I suppose I have to take this to heart, that if I want to live this long and healthy, joyful life, that maybe I should change my ways a bit. So I thought, why not tell my story? I knew I couldn't be the only one. And why not put together some practical tips? And these are tips from my professional experience. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a food anthropologist. But I've learned a lot. I'm a market researcher, and I've talked to, literally at this point, probably a couple thousand consumers in my career. And I've learned a lot about just, human beings and emotions. And I thought it'd be helpful. And if it helps a few people, then it's been worth it.
Great. And it's I guess the food you cook too, is it strictly for taste or does it have a health,
Component
in there as well?
Both, and that's part of the book. Like, we need food for fuel physically to perform at our best, but also, we're human beings and, we should appreciate flavor and taste and texture and beauty. Food is art.
I grew up in an Italian family and I had the old grandparents that didn't even speak English.
Oh.
I don't know if you've ever watched Sebastian Maniscalco when he talks about eating this every 5 feet, there'd be a piece of food.
Yes, that's
And
it. That's it.
so, as someone deeply entrenched in the food industry, how do you personally navigate the balance between indulging in delicious foods and maintaining a healthy lifestyle?
Well, it's not easy, and that's really why you'll see there's a wink here,
I
uh,
do see it.
and I developed that with the designer. It's a little bit. This book is all about a little bit of having your cake and eating it too. I think one overview is that it's really about balancing food for health with food for pleasure and joy.
Okay.
And so I'm very active in the community. I go to the Fancy Food Show. It's coming up next month, actually, the Javits Center. And I go out to the Natural Product Expo in California every year and a lot of the Italian food shows. So the reality is when you go to these shows, you're spoiled for choice. And you're a kid in a candy shop, right? You can have, if you're not paying attention, mindlessly, by the end of the day, you could really take in a lot. So what I try to do is know that there is going to be an overabundance, but then try to set some boundaries. Bring a big bottle of water with me to the trade shows. Maybe eat that morning before I go to an event. Have a big, healthy, fueled, clean, healthy foundation so that my body is prepared to indulge a little bit. So it's really all about being mindful and having a balance.
Absolutely.
And then coming back, like the next week, I was just traveling a lot in the past month. And to be honest, I was a little bit back to my ways. Like I wrote this book a year ago and I still struggle with this. So, it's just, I put the book in the kitchen and I'm using it as a tool to just get back on track myself.
Good. That was good sound advice. Even when you go shopping, they say never shop hungry. And I think, you eat a little something, you get something in you.
Yeah.
You can make better choices as well.
Choices. Yes.
Your book emphasizes on the importance of mindfulness in eating. Could you share some practical tips?
Sure. I have 5 or 6 tips that I'd love to share. One of them is set yourself up for success. Get into a healthy routine. Start the week by what I try to do is like on Mondays in my neighborhood, our neighborhood on the Upper East Side, I go to the fruit and veg guy and I get, 2 armfuls of every, color of veggies that you could possibly imagine, right? And then, we're really fortunate in our neighborhood. We have all these great food stores. So, I have my own business. And so I try to find healthy, convenient foods. So, Citarella has great sliced beets. You can find all kinds of foods that you can dial in, cottage cheese, just foods that you can reach for that make it easier to make that quick salad before a Zoom, et cetera. So that's tip number 1 is just set yourself up for a success.
Give us 2 tips because we want to save some for the book.
Right. Well, we have to remember that when, babies you put on a schedule, right? Pets you put on a schedule. I think as adults, what we struggle with is that, we have to self-discipline. And, we really could do whatever we want. So I think, and I've learned this in market research too, that you want to put yourself on a schedule, but then also allow yourself those moments to enjoy. To make better choices. The other thing I would say, number 3, is cooking. Health starts in the kitchen. So if you learn a few tips on steaming, sautéing, like I said, making a good omelet, it doesn't always have to be so gourmet. I love to cook that way too, but but I save that kind of for the weekends, the slow braising or risottos, or so during the week I just I'm always cooking, I'm always slicing and dicing. So healthy eating, portion control, frequency, all that.
Sounds wonderful. Okay, one of the tips in your book is about setting healthy boundaries around food.
Mhm.
How can listeners identify and establish these boundaries in their own lives?
Right. Easier said than done. It's
For
a real it's a challenge. The one tip that seems to really resonate with everyone is avoid bit eating.
bit,
And bit and bit eating
I
means
read it. Go ahead.
it's kind of funny. It's because it's there,
Yep, that's
It's
me
it's a tough one.
because it's there.
It's
And
just
then,
because it's there.
yeah, yeah. I,
Yeah.
I I read that while I was going through your whole, and I knew bit was what it meant, but yeah, please continue.
Well, for years, I was writing that down on an index card and leaving it in the kitchen or on my desk.
Right.
And, it's just, being aware that when you have something within reach, it just makes it easier for you to indulge. So it's the pretzels on the plane. It's, the leftover cookies at Christmas. It's, all that stuff. So that's just a part of life. So I think that, again, there's nothing wrong with indulging, but I was talking with a nutritionist recently and she said it's helpful to own your indulgence. Say, I'm going to enjoy that key lime pie and I'm going to savor every piece and it's not about cheat day eating. It's about owning your indulgence. And then if you can't be held responsible, like often I cannot, I'll put the leftover key lime pie in the freezer or, I'll give it to a neighbor.
Mhm.
So just make it a little easier set those boundaries.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like that's what you mean by mindfulness eating. If I'm going to eat something a little out of the realm,
Mm-hmm.
realize it, know it, and then,
Yeah.
continue to eat healthier at the other times.
Yeah, like I think you can, mix it in. Like and we probably have this in common. I have an Italian background too. I love cheeses and
Oh,
burrata and my aperitivo moment, with almonds and olives and all of it. But I realize my doctor appointment's actually coming up in a couple weeks, my annual, and so
hopefully it'll be better blood pressure.
I hope so. I'm working. I actually got a cuff. And so that's been a really great learning experience because it's chapter 1 of my book, Love Yourself Inside and Out. And I think once you know what's happening on the inside, then, you can appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to take it easy on the cheese in the next couple of weeks.
I do too. I got to take it easy. In your experience, what are some of the common challenges that people face when trying to adopt a more mindful approach to eating? What will they run into?
Yeah. I've been thinking about this since you asked me the question a couple days ago. And, it's hard enough to manage our own mindful eating, right? Just even in the confines of our own kitchen, right? Or with our partner. But I think also food it's so emotional in terms of the cultural context. And, like you were mentioning your Italian parents and grandparents, these traditions go back, to the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And so every, culture has a tradition of eating. And what I've heard from other people is that sometimes they find it difficult, in family celebrations. You go home for the holidays and you might be trying to follow a certain new regimen so that you can be in charge. But then, your aunt says, oh, you have to try my pavlova. Or, your grandmother says, oh, you haven't finished your plate. And so, other people can put a lot of pressure on us.
Pressure, yeah.
So I think, and again, I'm not a pro, but I think it's perfectly acceptable to say, I'm having this. I'm not, of course, there are all these people now on these diets, right, of taking things away. And that's a good choices for them sometimes. But I do think that, you want to be polite and maybe when you're at the dinner table, thank someone for taking the time to make a beautiful meal for you. But it doesn't mean that you need to, have an entire plate or seconds. You're in charge. You're in charge.
Yeah. Like in life, it sounds like, you set boundaries.
Setting boundaries.
Sometimes that's hard to do with family and peer
Yes.
pressure, but you got to do that. You got to set the boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm learning through this book, I'm still learning is, you have to do what's best for you.
Right.
Always.
Right.
You know, a chiropractor actually told me once, pay attention inside now. Pain means pay attention inside now. And so, like, when you're aware of your body and how you feel, I have a tiny bit of reflux from being in the biz over the years. And, I've learned about the blood pressure. So, when you pay attention to how you're feeling, then you'll know, okay, maybe I won't reach for that because I didn't feel great yesterday when I had a whole bag of popcorn, for example.
Perfect. You're doing such a great job. So you mentioned the concept of fuel foods and fun foods in your book. Mm. Can you elaborate on how listeners can utilize the concept?
Yes. I believe that we need both. If we limit ourselves and we take all those fun foods away, eventually there might be a moment where, you can overdo it. So, all right, fuel foods is kind of what I think most people know. It's just harder to enforce with yourself, but it's, all kinds of fruits and vegetables. They're all good. Maybe more veg, fruit, occasionally, good grains, brown rices, quinoas, nuts, walnuts, all those nutritious foods that when you eat, your body feels great, you're thriving, your skin looks good. I just started a few years ago green juicing. So I just take, all those veg, ginger, lemons, and then I do that every Monday and Tuesday. So again, it's part of the cycle. So it's setting yourself up with all those fuel foods. But then on the fun side, I love a gelato occasionally, I mean, I'll love a gelato. Like I said, I love cheese. I think that we have to be realistic about, like, do we gravitate towards comfort, creamy foods? Do we gravitate towards salty foods? So, I allow listen, I'm not going on a diet when I go to New Orleans. It's not happening. So, when I'm down there, I'm going to have some of those fun, spicy foods that I normally don't have, particularly when you go out, to restaurants. Maybe enjoy the foods that are kind of complicated to eat, to make for yourself at home. Mm-hmm. But you just have to be realistic about, just enjoy them, but maybe in small portions. It's a little bit of like the way classically Europeans have, the French paradox a bit, just enjoy.
But heavy sauces and everything. And a lot of them are thin over there because they know portion control and they follow it.
Yes, I do think that times are changing. That was the way for years. Now, because there's so much fast food and convenience, we just have a lot at our disposal now. Yeah. So we have to be aware that, maybe we just don't need it all within reach all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I try to keep in my refrigerator now are the healthier things, the cottage mm-hmm. cheese, the, canned tuna, the broccoli, and if I keep the pizzas and the popcorns and the ice creams in there, mm-hmm. as you said earlier, I'll go for that. So I try to avoid them on some level. And not avoid completely.
Actually, that's a great point. What I try to do, I just live alone with my man. So we don't have a lot in the fridge. So we keep good, healthy foods and then treats, but we eat out a lot, to be honest. Yeah. So, I try to eat those real treats on the road or in a restaurant so that when you make a reservation, you're really looking forward to a beautiful night out and enjoy them.
Yeah, you're going to eat something different than you do at home. Perfect. Okay. The book discusses the relationship between food and emotional eating. How can we tell the difference between the two?
Well, as I said, it's been, almost 8 months now since I published the book, and I find myself coming back to some challenges. I just had big project recently, and I was on the road, and the project went very well, but it was stressful. I had
Yeah.
to do a lot of interviews. I was on with the client for almost 14 hours a day. Yeah, it was intense. And I came back and I had to write a report, 100-page PowerPoint in a week, and I hadn't had that kind of intense project in a while. And you know what? I needed some type of tactile snack.
Yeah.
I had a deadline, and I found myself like saying, "Oh, throwing the book out the window," just for this last week, and I was emotional eating. So I went with it because I felt like I needed something to kind of diffuse my stress, but I was aware of it. I journaled. So I think that let's be honest with ourselves about what we reach for when we're in a stressful moment. Maybe it's okay to give in, but just be somewhat mindful of our limits and just come back. Like, give yourself some grace, give yourself, permission, but then, try the next week to get back on track. It's just like always come back to balance.
Got it. So you wrote this book. What would you hope your readers will take away from the book once reading it? What do you hope that they'll grasp or hold on to?
Yeah. Well, I would say chapters 1 and chapters 10 of Love Yourself Inside and Out. We live in such a unfortunately, sometimes a superficial society, and people are, just so aware of looks and appearances, and that's beauty. I mean, you can appreciate that, right? But let's really remember that we are we're put on this earth really to live a healthy life. We hope to have longevity. And so, like I was saying before, really pay attention to how your body feels. Like, take your pulse, listen to what's happening on the inside. And I think that'll only help us on the outside. And then, the last chapter, make food your friend. At the end of every chapter in this book, we have, a little icon. So it's the head. And someone was telling me the other day that little head is kind of like a friend that, helps you through. So I'm hoping that, you can make food your friend, not your enemy. And
Be a little more mindful.
Make better choices, and realize that it's probably going to be your best friend for life. Like, you can have a lot of friends, but we need to eat.
Right.
And, let's make it that good balance. Protect your health, but also protect your joy.
Absolutely. In your opinion, how can people cultivate a more holistic approach to the food and wellness? Is there a synergy there?
Yes. I personally think that food is at the center of everything, if we're eating well and being active, we didn't really talk about that, but I do believe that just to take walks, get your heart going, as we get older, stretch, etc. So eating and being active. It helps improve everything in your life. It helps improve your sleep, which we're learning more and more is really important. Like, you think about technology, like we close our computer down, right, for the night, and then we reboot in the morning. So, that's what our body was designed to do, is to shut down. And so, eating the right foods. And sometimes if I have too much sugar, if I've overeaten, or, you eat too late at night, it's really hard to get a good night's sleep. On the other hand, if I'm following my routine, we didn't talk about herbal teas. I love herbal teas for breaks and for cleaning the body. So, I think that when you incorporate the things that makes body feel good, you perform better at work, you might be better in your relationships. You might say hi to your doorman in the building with a, little, happy,
Step-
hello. A little, yeah, like a little, just cheerful. We can really be more positive in our interactions in our lives by thinking holistically
yeah.
about wellness.
Yeah, and I think that's very true. I know in my own life what you went over. I mean, being active. I love the gym. I run. I bike. I play pickleball. I'm a pickleball player. I do all these other things, and when I do those things, I naturally want to eat healthier. I want to do better, and
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a big meditator, and I
Oh, I'd
know
love to learn from you on that.
that helps me. Get in contact with my higher power and just to be calm. And when you meditate and you finish it and you can keep a little bit of that with you all day long, you do just make better choices, because, you're sort of living in the now. And that's what we need to do, because for a long time, I was that emotional eater late at night. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a good sleeper, so I'd get nervous, okay, I got to go to sleep. So I'd eat food because I was nervous that I was going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't hungry, but I just did it the bit because it was there,
It was there.
Yeah.
Yes. I look forward to learning through all the books in your store about mindfulness and meditation. I confess I don't really do a classic meditation, but a loop around Central Park on my bike feels meditative.
No, that is beautiful.
So I'm learning.
Whatever brings you to that space, it doesn't always have to be sitting quiet. It can be some of the things that you just talked about. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So we're coming near our time together.
Okay.
And I want to say first, I appreciate all of the wonderful insights. And I would like to ask you, do you have any parting thoughts that you'd like our listeners, some, pieces of gold or something that you think that we should leave? And as I wrote, some food for thought.
Some food for thought. Um, just I would say I can't help myself. I'm joyful plate, right? I'm not always joyful, by the way. I mean, I think that's the good way to wrap. In summary, is that just try to make friends with food.
Okay.
Do your best in terms of trying to achieve health, but realize that you're human. And, we all can make mistakes, or we can all get off track. Some days are better than others. Some days you're going to feel, so inspired, and other days you're going to feel really vulnerable. It's a tough world out there. I'm learning in my old age. So, I think just be realistic about that, and, enjoy. Just try to keep it simple.
Yeah, I love that. Keep it simple. But you're a very knowledgeable lady, and I know I learned some things today, and that was wonderful, wonderful.
That was a pleasure.
So I'd like to tell the world, thank you for tuning in. Come see us next Tuesday as well, and we will see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jay. I look forward to getting involved in the bookstore. Thank you.
All right.